Welcome to the Speakeasy, hosted by Club Fantasy. Josh Hudson, who is one of the co-hosts of the Club Fantasy podcast, sent me an email for the intro, but I could not find it today, so I'm winging it again. And Josh, if you could resend me that email, I would really appreciate it. I'm here with Victoria. We tried to record this once. My internet was dodgy at best, so I made her come back and talk to me again. She is part of the BallBlast team. She is a fairly new member of the Football Guys, and they just launched their BallBlast Dynasty playbook, I think, last night, which is exciting. Was it 2 nights ago or last night?
Tuesday, and it debuts Wednesday on, all the platforms. So
look at you. You are just absolutely rocketing through Twitter and fantasy football, and it's so great to see. I love having another female warrior along the way, and you don't take any shit, and that's the best part of it. So tell me about, you did a Clubhouse panel, I guess is the right word, a couple days ago, and Scott Fish was so kind to record that so that I was able to listen the next day at work. That was just focusing on women in fantasy football, and that's a lot of what we're trying to do here. So how was that experience for you?
It was awesome. Shout out to Scott Fish for recording that. I kept saying it felt like it was going to be super special, and I really just wanted it to be recorded because those just fall into thin air after the Clubhouse sessions aren't normally recorded. So I'm so thankful that we have that recorded and have it permanently. We had such special guests: Liz Loza with Yahoo Sports and Brooke Pryor with ESPN. Of course, Kate and Michelle from BallBlast. It was just so, I knew, I put together almost like a show sheet. I knew the conversation would just flow, right? I mean, it's going to be just like tonight with you, Linda. And thank you so much for having me on. Again, any chance to shoot the you know what with you twice? You kidding me? I'm a lucky girl. But yeah, it was really, really special. We just talked about, it started, of course, with, being a woman in sports media or journalism or fantasy, just kind of snowballed into just being a woman in general in any kind of workplace, those inherent biases we encounter as women in the industry. Just this particular experiences that Liz and Brooke had, and of course Kate and Michelle, and just, it was really special. We talked about just the fact that if you are nice as a woman, you don't seem as competent. But if you're assertive, you're called aggressive or bossy or pushy or a bitch, as I'm sure everyone in this fantasy space has been called once or twice before. Even though if you say the same thing that a dude might say as a response to, a player you're trying to defend or whatnot, it'll come across as a completely different way, as if you're saying it versus if a dude is saying it. So all kinds of stuff like that. Imposter syndrome, we hit on that, just being, I'm sure, Lid, that you've experienced this. We all have, and just saying, you have these accolades or accomplishments or things are happening for you, and you're like, wait a second, do I deserve this? What, am I taking a spot from someone else? Am I? And Liz Loza hit on like it almost being a motivator and not looking at it in such a negative light, that it could be a motivator for you as well, and that you want to have that kind of questioning mind of just, am I doing these right things? Because you constantly are trying to get better at what you're doing, right? So I do want to bring up one quote that Liz said that really resonated with me, unless you have it written down. I don't know if
I also wrote down a quote that Liz said, so this will be a fun exercise.
Say it on 3. Just kidding. If it's the same, I love you so much for it. And obviously I already do, but I love you even more. What was it? It was like, wake up, kick ass, be kind. Is it the same quote?
Okay. No, I wrote down, she was talking about like when you get like certain levels of hate for whatever take it you may have, on the front of like being assertive or confident in a take. Today I got told I had an attitude about it, and I was like, nobody else would have gotten told. Like, if Troy went out and had that discussion with somebody, nobody would have been like, I don't understand where that attitude's coming from.
Dude,
What attitude?
Never.
I'll cop an attitude if you want me to. I can.
That is absolutely ridiculous. You're kidding me. No one's going to respond back to a man and be like, sir, we might.
Yeah, now I'm going to. I put that in my arsenal. I will be using that. But I wrote down, Liz was talking about not being everybody's cup of tea. And she was like, if I say that Zach Wilson is serving serious Leo energy, then and like you don't like that, then you're not my cup. Like I'm not your cup of tea. And I love that because I know I have like a very boisterous energy and it's not always received well, which is fine. Sometimes I can't stand myself, but I love that like you don't have to be for everybody and it's fine. You don't have to please everybody.
Absolutely. I did love that too. And it's, you've probably listened to many panels and just seen Twitter discussions about how do I kind of jumpstart this fantasy thing? How do I get more followers? How do I stand out? And people are constantly saying the number one thing, right? Be yourself. And it sounds so silly. But if you aren't, then what are you putting out there? And who cares? If you're putting out a front and a person that you aren't, eventually people are going to realize that. And also, why wouldn't you just want to be yourself at this point? Exactly like you're saying, Lynn. Like, if somebody doesn't like it, then they don't have to follow you. And not everyone is going to like you or what you have to say, but who cares? Here you are. Here's what you're putting out, and that's what you got to do.
They have those apps that like tell you who unfollows you. That's insane to me. First of all, talk about making yourself crazy.
Oh my God.
Second of all, like I can't get, like you said, I can't get mad if you like follow me and then you go like, boy, this is not what I signed up for. Like anytime I get that like shout out, like big shout outs from like Scott Fish, like you got the other day. When I first like entered this space, I got a Scott Fish shout out and I was like, whoa, I like talk about my kid and like life and music and all kinds of stuff. And so it was, that was like a hard thing for me to figure out was like, I can be more than just fantasy football advice. And if you don't want more than that, if that's all you want, then I'm not the account for you. And that's fine. You're probably not the account for me. So it's a two-way. And I think that's fine.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's the beauty of it is I feel like once I started putting myself out there, and maybe you felt this too, you resonated with more people. Like people aren't just trying to see like how many receptions or how many touchdowns Calvin Ridley had. As much fun as that is to tweet those things out, and that is important in what people are primarily following you for. If you're constantly just doing that and being rigid and only having wacky football takes, like, you know, it can get old. You want to shake up your stuff. I completely agree with you.
That be yourself thing, that was like a common theme when I was like, oh, like I was like, I think I can do a podcast, but like, can I? Do I have that like confidence in me? And for the first couple of weeks, it was all liquid courage. Like I was back there drinking like 8 Trulies in an hour, and now I can do a whole show on just drinking 1 Truly or not at all. So that's growth. We love to see that. But there was a lot of that, like be yourself. And there's a Workaholics quote where like Blake tells Adam to be himself, and he says, that is a terrible idea. Most people don't like me, actually. Like, I think about that when like we talk about not being somebody else. If you don't like yourself enough that you feel the need to be somebody else, then maybe let's look inside ourselves and see what it is that we aren't portraying in normal life that we can portray on Twitter or behind like a fake picture on,
absolutely,
you know, on the internet.
Yes. Oh, for sure. When you say be yourself too, I'm going to be goofy here, but every time I hear be yourself, have you ever seen the movie Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds?
Absolutely.
When he's like a fat kid in high school and then he becomes this bigwig music executive and comes back home for Christmas and struggling like between who his former self was and his present self. But he's in the garage with his mom and she's just like, you should just be yourself, honey. Be yourself. Be yourself. She's got a song for it. Every time I hear that, that is all that plays in my head because I'm a psychopath. And I love Ryan Reynolds.
That's the Workaholics quote for me. Like anytime anybody says that, I'm like, that's real ballsy advice. Oh man. Okay, so tell me a little bit about how your BallBlast Dynasty podcast got started. Was that something that you initiated, or did they come to you? Or were you like, I have to get behind the mic more often, regularly?
Oh, that was absolutely not it because no. I loved, I've enjoyed being a guest on podcasts. It's just very low pressure. You come, you check out the show sheet, you got your stats ready to go. That's a low pressure situation for me. I enjoy that a bunch. And I thought maybe I'd eventually get into something, but yeah, so that came along. Very interestingly, I guess we would say that someone previously who is not with BallBlast anymore wanted to do a podcast with me. As gross as that sounds now, right? And then John Homecamp, who was on the Red Shirts Dynasty podcast for BallBlast, that ended. Okada Betts and him parted ways. They're all doing different things now. And John was like itching to do another pod. And this person proposed to Kate and Michelle, hey, we should all do this. Sounded like a fantastic idea. And we know how this ended. Won't give this person a platform any longer, speak about it more. But, it ended up being great. We found Jake, Dynasty Jake, Dynasty _ Jake as well. He's a fantastic co-host too. And it just kind of came together where we thought we want to give someone a chance that's also up and coming and like really just super passionate about this. And he fits in so well with the pod. And it was discussing like who's going to be a host, right? I hate that term. And we're all co-hosts together, but I'm trying to be the person that's like moving things along and whatnot. And I thought that would be, super scary for me. But I did the Women in Sports Clubhouse session right before, a few hours before we debuted the BallBlast pod. And I was like, if I can talk to Liz Loza and freaking Stefania Bell is messaging us right before it happens, and she's like, I'm moving a meeting, I really want to like be a part of this and listen, and she ends up hopping on and talking with us. Like, I was like, if I can speak to these incredible, and Brooke Pryor and all the amazing women that are on there, if I can speak to them, I just got to talk to John and Jake. This is a freaking cakewalk.
Yeah, no. Oh my God, though, like to be like, I'm moving a meeting because I want to be, I would have we're going to have to postpone the whole show because I've passed out.
I'm legit. I'm already freaking out because it's the middle of the workday. I'm like blocking out my calendar. Hopefully no one's watching this from work. Oh, anyways, I didn't do that. It was at night. And I'm on the phone, Kate is messaging like some of the bigger women in the space to promote this. If you can't hop on, please, help us promote it. And Stefania's like, yeah, I'm moving a meeting. And I'm like, I'm just like this. I'm like, okay. I'm just freaking out. Like, this is incredible. But the more and more that happens, is just like, it's something we talked about on the session. Like, as a woman coming up in the space, like, you want to help each other out. We're here. Like, you got to this point. It's just like with you, Coot and Steph. You took me under your wings and helped me out in terms of navigating this crazy community and just being there for each other. And I feel like that's just one thing that women can do in general to keep the needle moving, because we've talked about this too, Linda. Like, women have a tendency to want to put each other down sometimes. If you do see someone experiencing success, I'm guilty of feeling like, oh, why am I not there? Yeah, right. Yeah, of course. Everyone's experienced that, whether you're a man or a woman. But in particular, women sometimes aren't as supportive with each other. So, I think that as much as I freaked out, I'm sure that was in their head. Like, I just want to help out the little guy.
Oh man, it was so fantastic. And again, if you haven't listened to it, Scott Fish recorded it for them. It's on his page. It's on Vic's page. It's everywhere.
Yes.
It's not going to take that much of your day to listen to it and to learn something or understand where we're coming from. The confidence to like being referred to as a bitch or as bossy or whatever, that one's so, it's just also resonating. Like, I have feelings about this, and then to hear somebody like put like real words to it, you're like, yeah, that is how I feel. And
Yes.
Liz is so articulate. It was just fantastic. It was a fantastic group, and I'm so glad that I got to listen to it, because I would have done the same thing at work. Like, hey, I gotta leave for like an hour. I'm taking a late lunch. Like, I gotta listen to this Clubhouse.
This was me behind the scenes. But like, I'd pose the question, and then Liz or Brooke or Kate or Michelle would answer, and I'm like, yes, on mute, like in the background, like, girl. I did come off mute once and was like, Liz, preach. Like, I didn't mean it.
I have
forgot
to say something.
I kind of forgot. I was so in the moment. I'm like, yes, girl. But it was incredible.
With Brooke Pryor, the cool thing, so when the Super Bowl happened, I have a friend that like makes shirts and cups and designs and stickers and everything. And when the Super Bowl rolled around, I was like, I don't want to wear Tampa Bay clothing, and I don't want to wear Chiefs. I won't wear Chiefs clothing. And so I had my friend make a shirt, since there were women on both sides of the football field, and as a referee, she made like a Britney Spears looking CD, and it was like a hot girl summer type of theme, and it just has like all their names and what roles they were playing for the Super Bowl, and wore that. So Brooke's husband Teddy reached out, and he had my friend Jasmine make her one, and added Brooke's name since she was at the Super Bowl and got to work it.
Oh my gosh,
and surprised her with it. Yeah. So that was cool. We love to see that.
Oh, they're such good people, both Teddy and Brooke. Love them so much. Oh, that's incredible. Yep. I love it.
Yeah, it was a feel good for me when he reached out. He was like, "Who made that? And can I get one? And can you add her name?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got you." And posted the video surprising her with it and everything. It was fantastic. I cried everything though.
Is that just, as you get to be a mom, or? Yeah.
I joke about like how teary-eyed I got, like especially right after I had Piper, and I watched a lot of HGTV after I had her, and like people would go like pay to have a new kitchen made for them, and then still be kind of surprised by it. I'd be like, that's so beautiful. I'm like, they weren't given it, like they worked hard in order to upgrade their kitchen.
The shiplap is so beautiful.
I just really want an island.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's when
it's a problem.
You're getting older, and you appreciate people's kitchens, their gardens, something with their home. You're like, oh, this is exquisite. And you're like, what is happening to me?
Yeah, bathrooms with double sinks. I'm like, wow. Oh. You guys must be loaded.
It's getting hot in here.
The only time I ever had double sinks was in my dorm room, and there were 6 of us, so it wasn't as helpful at the time.
Oh my god. Dorm room life. Yes. Oh my gosh. You ever find I'm probably going off your topics here, but you ever find you just don't relate to someone as much when they're like, you didn't live in the dorms, or like go away to college, or not necessarily away, but you know what I mean? Just, I don't know about you.
Yeah. I moved, my mom's still mad at me to this day, but because there's a college like 15 miles from us. I could have lived at home. I could have gotten 2 years of school out of the way. And I was like, nah, I'm going to go, I'm going to go to that terrible college that all they do is drink. Like all my friends were like, all we do is party. And I was like, that sounds fun. So I like reached out to the golf coach, and she was like, yeah, I'll give you a scholarship if you want to come play. And I was like, yeah, that's my way in. And then I played it went downhill pretty fast once I got there, but I had a lot of fun.
Heck yes. Good for you, dude. That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah, it was my way in. And then, so it's this female coach, and she coaches both the men's and the women's team. I get down there the day before school starts. She calls a meeting like 7 a.m. I'm like, first of all, what the fuck?
Girl.
It's like, I just moved here. And we go, and she's quitting. And they have no backup for a coach. They have no plan. And it ends up being just like some dude in the town. This guy was like maybe 5 foot. And for reference, I'm 5'11". So anything he's doing with his golf swing is probably not going to correlate to my golf swing. And he just hung out on golf courses. And they were like, you got the job because we don't have anybody else.
I was gonna say, do you have time, sir? Cool. You're qualified. You played.
Can you just hang out with these drunks?
You played pitch and putt. You done pitch and putt before, or putt? Okay, we're good.
Come. Yeah, it was special. It was a tiny town. There, the golf course was 9 holes. Period. It wasn't even an 18-hole golf course.
Oh wow! Still, that's awesome though. That's such a bummer. It's funny you said that. I feel for you. Probably were so excited too to just have, your female coach just have probably
would have been the first time in a long time to have a female coach.
Yeah, and could have been such an influence on you guys too. What's such a bummer. Oh my god. I in college I didn't know what the heck I wanted to study. Obviously I love music, so I was like, I'll take this music business course, and it's literally called the Business of Music, one of the first courses for this major, and the professor was incredible. And literally I'm like, I'm gonna do this for my major, and then he quit the next year. And oh my gosh, the guy that replaced him, let me tell you something. The guy that replaced this man produced a Goo Goo Dolls record. Goo Goo Dolls are from Buffalo, New York, which is my hometown. He produced a record for them, and then he also produced Kiss Me. I think that's by Sixpence None the Richer, that song that's in all the 2000s. Yes.
I know.
That's his claim to fame. Every single class he'd be like, I'm still collecting those residual checks from Kiss Me. And that's all he ever did. And I was just like, this sucks. This guy's living in the past, man. Oh.
The only class I didn't finish a degree at all. But the only classes that I ever went to were like psychology, sociology, all of those like psych classes.
Yes.
I'm like, I'm not going to get a master's degree to come back to teach more people psychology. It's just fun to come hang out here. It was a good class to go to after
we know.
But there was this woman, professor, this woman, and I can't remember her name. God, that makes me sad. But we were in class one day, and the guy that I was like kind of seeing at the time was in this class with me, and she asked everybody, she's like, okay, all the guys in the class, if you think you can go to the Nightlight, which was a bar that we had, and leave with a woman, and you will 100% like finish the night, right? She's like, if you think you could do that, raise your hand. And like, I look at this motherfucker like, if you raise your hand, I'll not go. Like,
oh my God.
None of the men raised their hand. So then she flipped it and she asked the women, and none of the women raised their hand. And she was like, every woman in this room should be raising a hand. She was like, I guarantee you, if y'all went with that intention, you could get it done, period. And like all the guys in class got pissed. I'm like, this is my favorite human in the world.
Oh,
it was fantastic.
What a freaking gem. I'm shocked that you said none of the men raised their hand. I figured, all the men raised their hand in the room and none of the women did. That would be my guess, but
you should have. Well, she asked in a way that was like, if you fucking raise your hand. And like every girl in that room was like, she's like emboldened us. She's like turned us into feminists. And we're like, I wish you would. Somebody in here, let's do it.
Oh my God.
But yeah, it was fantastic. I'll never forget that day in class. It was fantastic.
Incredible. Oh my God. Yeah, she sounds like a freaking gem.
Yeah, we love a queen. We celebrate it. So let me ask you, in terms of like football, where are you at? Are you like Dynasty League invites every day? Are you because I remember my first like off season last year coming into this space and like being new, and it was like every day being asked to join Dynasty Leagues, and I had to like, you have to be able to say no, which is not everybody's strong suit, mine. And so I'm curious if you've joined a ton or if you're being like really diligent about your workload.
I probably, if I didn't do the BallBlast Dynasty League that we started, I don't know, months ago. Whenever I joined, it was like we did the league, and it was one of my first Dynasty Leagues. And by around 25, I was like, people just do this all the time. And it's been like 3 months and everyone was telling me, this isn't normally how it goes. I'm like, guys, don't lie to me. So that kind of not turned me off, but I was like, I just don't have time to be checking and doing all the rounds and doing all that stuff. So I have said no to some. I've joined a couple. Actually, I was just asked by him, her sports to do one with you guys. And he was, excuse me, not he. They were like, wait, it's Cooter and Lind and a bunch of people. And it's 3 IDB players. And I was like, God, I want to do this so bad. But I was trying to have self-control. And I was like, I really want to do this. So just I'll let you know. I'm gonna say no right now, and then they're like, "If you change your mind," I'm like, "I'm about ready to change my mind because I want to have a couple to do that are not my home leagues, but I don't want to overwhelm myself because then I already know I'm just not gonna be. We're gonna be doing Sunday shows and telling other people to set their lineups, and then I'm gonna forget to freaking do mine. So I don't want to do too many, but I'm trying to keep a happy medium.
Yeah, that him and her sports, they're sharks about getting you in leagues. I love them. I've praised them probably more than any other group of humans ever on podcasts throughout this realm. But they will get me to start a sign up, or to do a startup. A while ago, a couple months ago, I'm like, no, absolutely not. I can't do it. It wasn't, the season hadn't even ended yet. That's I was
incredible.
Like, no, I can't. And he's like, him messaged me, there's kickers. You did that on purpose.
Absolutely. That's why I heard. She's like, it's Linda and Cooter and stuff. And I was like, God damn it, that sounds really fun.
Yeah, they're good at that. And that Cooter and I, they asked Cooter and I separately, and both of us said no. And then they were like, well, Linda's gonna do it and Cooter's gonna do it. And like we were like, you gotta do it. And then we ended up in it. We were like,
Jedi mind trick, dude. Oh, I'm gonna have to join now. I get in with anything, even with freaking making my fantasy Twitter. I just am like a little intimidated to do something fresh and new for the first time. But then I'm like, such as with the 3 IDP players, I don't know what the heck I would be doing. I've never done that. So I'm like, maybe I should just try it. That GIF. Maybe I should. So maybe I will. I'll let you know.
IDP definitely, it's a fun twist. I go a lot on whatever, like, you look at projections, like their projected points per week or whatever. And I ignore that when it comes to like offensive players and what I think the game script's going to look like or whatever. But when it comes to IDP, I'm like, oh, it says he's going to score 20 points. So we're going to put that in the lineup. I'm very like low key on IDP. I'm trying to get better, but it's a lot more. But when you can just look at, like, if you're given projections or if you feel a certain way about a defense, it's easier, I think, to do just IDP slots like a flex spot than it is to do like 2 defensive linemen, two defensive backs, 2 linebackers. Like I would much rather just have like a defensive player. Boy, my sunburn's peeling, and I just flicked some dead skin up in the air.
Oh, sunburn though. I'm kind of jealous. I'm not gonna lie.
I went to the Oklahoma State spring game, and it was nice enough to wear shorts. And I was like, I'm wearing shorts. I haven't worn I missed them, and I put sunscreen on Piper because I'm a good mom, but I completely neglected myself because of my mental health. Probably ended up with. My thighs were so red, and then this was like 2 weeks ago, and it's just now finally peeling. I'm like, my forehead, when you put makeup on a peeling sunburn.
The worst, quite possibly one of the worst things to deal with.
Yeah, I'm like, now I just like it's just worse. It's just crack. I just look like a cracked Easter egg that's somebody colored orange. It's bad.
Just exfoliate it all off, girl. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, them sunburns are a bitch. Okay, I told you I would only keep you for 30 minutes. You've already done a show, so I don't want to keep you too long. And but
I could do another 30 with you, girl.
I know you could. I'd keep you, but I got in trouble already from Josh wants to go way too long.
Oh, that's right. He was like, how am I supposed to edit this?
Look, he knew what he was getting into. But excuse me. Why don't you tell us one more time where we can find you, where we can find your podcast, and anything that you might have in the works coming out?
Yes, you can find me at FFB_Victoria. I am on BallBlast Football site writing articles. Our podcast just began this week. The BallBlast Dynasty Playbook. You can find it on any streaming platform. Apple Pods, Google, Spotify, my particular favorite, Spotify. We're airing live on YouTube. Oh, it's on YouTube as well. We air live on YouTube on Tuesdays at 9 Eastern, and it's on all the streaming platforms the following day on Wednesdays. And I'm working over for football, guys. I'm working on my PPR, non-PPR rankings right now for the season, which is, it's early, but it's getting me very excited for all the things. So you can check those out soon too.
You are an absolute rock star. I think I already said that, but I love watching you grow. And I'm so glad that I get to also have a friendship with you outside of cheering you on from the sidelines. So
me too.
Like Victoria said, you can find her at FFB_Victoria. You can find me at Lindellians, or just search Linda and I'll show up eventually. You can find the Speakeasy at the Speakeasy FF, and Club Fantasy, who is kind enough to host my drunk ass, at Club Fantasy FFL. So thank you guys. I appreciate you watching and putting up with a little bit of chit chat.
Thanks, Lynn.